Steve is opening for Chris Christopherson?
At the Quiet Night, which was the club in Chicago, late 60s and early 70s. It was the place for national acts when they came through Chicago. They weren't playing concert halls yet. So Chris Christopherson came through town.
Right as his career is
It
blowing
was
up.
just starting to really, I remember reading an article in Rolling Stone about the movie, called The Last Movie, the Dennis Hopper movie. And Chris, there was a thing they talked kind of by the way. There was a songwriter, and they wrote out the verse and a chorus. I think it was Bobby McGee. No, it was the Pilgrim. You know, he's a poet, he's a picker. And just from reading that, I knew what the music was, because his stuff was like Chuck Berry. There was a syncopated thing to each syllable in the writing, and I really took notice to that, just like I did Chuck Berry songs. I thought he never left a hole. You know, it was always, the emphasis was on the syllable. It was right there. He didn't let the music handle it.
Yeah.
The lyric said everything. Yeah. And anyway, that's when I first noticed about Christopherson, was from this article. And then I heard a couple of his things. And then he came to town, and the Johnny Cash doing Sunday Morning coming down. Anyway, Chris was hot by that time, a very short amount of time. I mean, Chris had been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, he was in his 30s.
But he comes to town. Goodman lucks out and gets the opening slot. And Chris and his band take a liking to Steve, and they kept asking him to sing some more of his songs. And he started, he was singing one of my songs, Donald and Lydia, in concert. And they asked him about that song. He said, well, my buddy wrote that. And they went, oh, we'll sing that one for us too. And he did. And then from then on, Steve, every night that they played, tried to get Chris to go over to hear his buddy John Prine. And finally insisted on it. The last night Chris was playing.
It's a normal response from somebody opening for Chris Christopherson at that point in his career would be to insist that he soon take him on tour. Trying to glom on to what he's got, and instead he's saying, if you like me, you really got to hear my buddy.
Exactly, and he insisted. When Goodman insisted on something, he got his way, usually. And he piles Christopherson, Samantha Eggers, and Paul Anka. They had come down to see Chris. And somehow everybody that was in the dressing room, in Chris's dressing room at the time when Steve insisted he get in a cab and come see me, came with him to the Earl of Old Town, which had closed already. The door was open, but there was just the waitresses. The chairs were turned upside down on the tables, and I was waiting around to get paid. Because I got paid by the week. You know, very good too, by Earl Piaggi. And he paid in cash under the table. And I was waiting around, and Goodman calls the Earl and said, Prine, get your guitar out. He goes, I'm bringing Chris Christopherson over. And I thought, this is crazy, you know. And soon he comes in with this entourage. They take the chairs off the tables and sit right in front of the stage. And I get back on stage. The stage is about a foot off the floor. And I'm singing to them, so I sang about 6 of my songs.
And are you frightened by this? Are you encouraged? What is going through your head at this late hour, you know?
Beer. Funny enough, I wasn't frightened, but I just thought it was a wonderful moment because just to meet Chris, because at the time, Chris was a rising star where he was writing these incredible, great songs, and they were, you know, the sort of stuff that I aspired to do, you know, and so I was proud to sing my songs for him, you know. And that's all I thought. Chris could have just got up and go, that was great, and hit the road, and I'd never see him again. That would have been plenty good. But instead, the whole thing that evening turned into record contracts I mean, eventually, within the next less than 6 months after that, you know, Chris, me and Goodman hit New York and got off the plane and saw that Chris was playing. I'll make this short because it's a long story. And Chris was doing a thing at the bitter end, and there was nothing but press and presidents of record companies. And they were all there to see Chris, and Carly Simon was the opening act. It was one of Carly's first gigs, solo. And Chris said, he insisted on putting Goodman and me separately on stage for 3 songs apiece. And the next morning I had a record contract with Atlantic Records. It was just that quick. My first day in New York City. You know,